Sara had always been drawn to the idea of adventure, and though she had spent most of her 20 years in familiar surroundings, her heart constantly longed for the thrill of discovering new places, meeting different people, and immersing herself in diverse cultures. Traveling was more than just a hobby for her. It was a passion, an unshakable dream that had lived within her since childhood. Among all the cities in the world, London had always occupied a special place in her heart. It was a city rich with history, brimming with iconic landmarks, and steeped in an aura of grandeur that fascinated her. She had spent countless hours poring over maps, reading books about British history, and dreaming of one day standing before Big Ben, walking across Tower Bridge, or witnessing the changing of the guard at Buckingham Palace. The thought of strolling through Hyde Park, exploring the vast collections of the British Museum, and absorbing the vibrant energy of the city filled her with an indescribable excitement. She could already picture herself sipping tea in a quaint London cafe, watching red double-decker buses pass by, and feeling the pulse of one of the world's most famous cities. One evening, as Sara sat on her bed scrolling through travel blogs, she decided that it was finally time to turn her dream into reality. She shared her excitement with her best friend, Anna, who had always encouraged her adventurous spirit. "I want to visit London," Sara announced with a bright, eager smile, her eyes shining with anticipation. Anna, who knew how deeply Sara loved the idea of exploring new places, smiled in return and nodded enthusiastically. "You should go, Sara. You're young, full of energy, and love adventure. This is the perfect time to travel and experience the world. London is waiting for you." Those words resonated deeply within Sara, filling her with a renewed sense of determination. She had always dreamed of visiting London, but now it was more than just a thought. It was a plan waiting to be executed. The decision was made. She was going to London. However, excitement was quickly followed by nervousness. Traveling alone for the first time was a daunting challenge, but she knew that stepping out of her comfort zone would help her grow in ways she could never imagine. She took a deep breath, letting the reality of her decision sink in, and resolved to prepare thoroughly to ensure that her journey would be as smooth and fulfilling as possible. The next few days were filled with endless research. She spent hours reading about London's most famous attractions, the best places to stay, and the hidden gems that only seasoned travelers knew about. Her notebook was soon filled with lists, things to do, places to visit, food to try, and tips for navigating the city efficiently. She planned each day meticulously, making sure to include a balance of sightseeing, relaxation, and spontaneous exploration. First, she mapped out her itinerary. On her first day, she would visit the iconic landmarks, Big Ben, Tower Bridge, and Buckingham Palace. She wanted to witness the majesty of these historical sites up close, to feel the weight of history in every stone and structure. The second day would be dedicated to exploring London's rich cultural side. She would spend time at the British Museum, marveling at the incredible artifacts from around the world, before heading to the National Gallery to admire timeless masterpieces. The third day would be about leisure, taking a relaxing walk in Hyde Park, enjoying a traditional afternoon tea, and perhaps even catching a West End show. The following days would include trips to Camden Market, Oxford Street for shopping, and a visit to Covent Garden to soak in the street performances and vibrant atmosphere. Every detail had to be accounted for, ensuring that she could make the most of her experience. Finding a suitable place to stay was another important step. Sara wanted a safe, comfortable, and budget-friendly accommodation in central London so that she could easily access all the major attractions. She spent hours reading hotel and hostel reviews, looking at pictures, and comparing prices. After much consideration, she found a charming hostel that had excellent ratings from fellow travelers. It was centrally located, had a welcoming atmosphere, and even offered social events where she could meet other travelers from around the world. The thought of making new friends and sharing travel stories excited her even more. With accommodations secured, Sara turned her attention to the logistical aspects of her trip. She checked her passport's validity, ensuring she had all the necessary documents in order. Since her stay in the UK would be short, she didn't need a visa, but she made sure to have digital and physical copies of her passport, flight tickets, and hostel reservation just in case. She also considered how she would handle money while abroad. Carrying large amounts of cash wasn't safe, so she opted for a travel card that would allow her to make payments easily without worrying about currency exchange. Another important aspect was staying connected with her family and friends. She quickly realized that using her home phone plan in London would be expensive due to high international roaming charges. To solve this, she planned to purchase a local SIM card upon arrival. This way, she could have internet access and make calls without incurring excessive costs. Knowing that she would be able to stay in touch with loved ones gave her peace of mind. Sara also spent time familiarizing herself with British customs and culture. She read about common etiquette, such as standing on the right side of escalators, queuing patiently, and understanding polite phrases used in daily conversations. She even practiced saying certain words in a British accent, laughing at herself in the mirror as she tried to sound as natural as possible. She wanted to be respectful and blend in, rather than come across as an uninformed tourist. The night before her departure, Sara meticulously packed her suitcase, making sure not to forget anything important. She double-checked her packing list, ensuring that she had all her essentials: clothes suited for London's unpredictable weather, toiletries, travel documents, and a sturdy backpack for daily excursions. She laid out her outfit for the next morning, placed her bags by the door, and set multiple alarms to ensure she wouldn't oversleep. Though nervous, she felt an overwhelming sense of excitement. This was it. The adventure was about to begin. The morning of her departure arrived, and Sara woke up with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. She dressed quickly, had a light breakfast, and grabbed her bags. Her parents, who had been supportive throughout her planning process, drove her to the airport. As they approached the terminal, a wave of emotions washed over her. She was thrilled to embark on this journey, but she also felt a tinge of nervousness about being so far from home. Her parents hugged her tightly, reminding her to stay safe, enjoy every moment, and make the most of her experience. Their words filled her with confidence. As she walked through the airport, she felt a sense of independence she had never experienced before. Checking in her luggage, passing through security, and finding her gate were all steps in her journey toward self-discovery. She settled into her seat on the plane, feeling a surge of anticipation as the aircraft taxied down the runway. The moment the wheels lifted off the ground, she knew there was no turning back. She was finally on her way to London, a city she had dreamed about for years. During the flight, she kept herself occupied by reading a novel, listening to music, and watching in-flight movies. Every now and then, she glanced out the window, watching the clouds pass by, her heart racing with excitement. The long flight didn't feel tedious. It was the bridge between her old life and the new adventure that awaited her. Hours later, as the captain announced their descent into London, Sara's heart pounded. She looked out the window and caught her first glimpse of the city below, sprawling streets, twinkling lights, and historic landmarks waiting to be explored. This was it. She had arrived. As Sara's journey in London neared its end, she found herself reflecting on the countless moments that had shaped her adventure. The city had given her more than she had imagined, a deeper appreciation for history, a newfound confidence in her ability to navigate the world alone, and friendships that transcended borders. Each day had been an exploration of something new, and now, as she prepared to leave, she felt a bittersweet mix of emotions. She had grown accustomed to the rhythm of London, the way the city bustled in the morning with people rushing to work, the calming serenity of Hyde Park in the afternoon, and the dazzling lights that illuminated the skyline at night. The thought of returning home was comforting, yet she knew she would miss the energy and excitement of this city that had become her temporary home. On her final day, Sara wanted to soak in every last moment. She decided to visit the places that had left the greatest impression on her. She started her morning with a walk along the River Thames, watching as the boats glided across the water, and the city slowly awakened around her. She passed by the familiar landmarks she had come to love. Big Ben standing tall against the sky, the London Eye offering panoramic views of the city, and the historic Tower Bridge, its grand structure reflecting on the water below. As she walked, she thought about how these places had once been distant dreams on a page in her travel book, and now they were real memories she would carry with her forever. Determined to savor every last experience, Sara made her way to a small cafe she had discovered near Covent Garden. The cafe had become one of her favorite spots, a cozy retreat where she could watch the world go by while enjoying a cup of tea. She ordered her usual, a hot cup of Earl Grey with a slice of Victoria sponge cake, and took a seat by the window. As she sipped her tea, she observed the people walking by, each with their own story, their own destination. London had taught her the beauty of observing life as it unfolded, the joy of simply being present in a place filled with endless possibilities. After breakfast, she decided to revisit the British Museum one last time. Walking through its grand halls, she admired the vast collection of artifacts from different civilizations, each piece telling a story of its own. She had spent hours in this museum during her trip, fascinated by the treasures from ancient Egypt, Greece, and Rome. This time, she allowed herself to linger, reading the descriptions, absorbing the history, and appreciating the privilege of being able to witness such remarkable pieces of the past. It was a reminder of why she loved traveling, to learn, to connect, and to grow. As the afternoon approached, Sara made her way to one of her favorite spots in the city, Hyde Park. The park had become her sanctuary, a place where she could escape the city's fast pace and simply breathe. She found a quiet bench near the Serpentine Lake and watched as families picnicked. Joggers ran along the paths, and couples rowed small boats across the water. She thought about the moments she had spent here, writing in her journal, reflecting on her journey, and feeling an overwhelming sense of gratitude for the experiences she had gained. She took out her notebook and began to jot down her final thoughts about London, the things she had seen, the lessons she had learned, and the dreams she now held for her future travels. As the sun began to set, Sara made her way to a rooftop restaurant that offered a stunning view of the city skyline. She had made a reservation for her last night, wanting to give herself one final unforgettable memory. The restaurant was elegant yet welcoming, and she found a perfect spot by the balcony where she could gaze at the city lights twinkling in the distance. She ordered a classic British dish, beef Wellington, and paired it with a glass of wine. As she savored each bite, she reflected on how much she had changed over the past few weeks. She had arrived in London with excitement and curiosity, and now she was leaving with a sense of fulfillment and a newfound independence that she hadn't realized she possessed. Her flight was scheduled for the following morning, and as she returned to her hostel for the last time, she felt a wave of nostalgia. She packed her bags carefully, ensuring that every souvenir, every little token of her journey, was safely tucked away. She had collected postcards from every major landmark, small trinkets from markets, and even a book from a charming secondhand bookstore she had stumbled upon one rainy afternoon. These items were more than just souvenirs. They were pieces of her adventure, reminders of the places she had been and the memories she had made. That night, Sara found it hard to sleep. She lay in bed, listening to the faint sounds of the city outside her window. She thought about the friends she had made at the hostel, the late-night conversations about travel, the laughter over cultural differences, and the stories shared about places yet to be explored. She knew that even though she was leaving, these friendships would stay with her, and perhaps one day they would reunite in another corner of the world. The next morning, Sara woke up early, her heart heavy yet full. She checked out of the hostel, thanked the staff for their hospitality, and stepped outside to find a taxi waiting to take her to the airport. As she rode through the streets of London one last time, she gazed out the window, imprinting the sights into her memory. The red double-decker buses, the historic buildings, the people hurrying about their day. She felt a deep appreciation for everything the city had given her. At the airport, she went through security and found a quiet spot to sit before her flight. She took out her journal and wrote one final entry. London, you have been a dream come true. Thank you for the memories, the lessons, and the adventure. Until we meet again. With a smile, she closed her notebook and boarded her flight, knowing that this was only the beginning of a lifetime of adventures. As the plane took off, she looked out the window, watching as the city grew smaller beneath her. She felt a sense of peace, knowing that she would return to London one day. But for now, she was ready to embrace whatever journey lay ahead.